Wah, 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 wah. Hi. Hi, how you doing? I wasn't stimming for like the entire time with that song and trying to figure out the exact pitch it has to be for me to reach the high notes and the low notes of that song. So I could get my full range in. I wasn't doing that. Who the fuck is Todd? I'm banning that name from my chat. I'm not gonna be called that anymore. Oh my god. I'm not weird, you're weird. Anyway, guys, I apologize for my sound quality for the last stream. That's not better. No, you know what? We're just gonna move on from that. I don't even have anything to say about that. I'm just mad about it. Hi, Apple, how you doing? No, it's do. It starts. Okay. Anyway, happy Scummy Sunday. How are you doing? Oh my god. We had to understand that that's where my range is, okay? I can reach all of those. That's my highest high note and that's my lowest low note, okay? We have to establish this. Hi, Mothman. Oh my god. Anyway, I don't think I'm excited for Scummy Sunday. Yay! It's Monday. Oh, it's like, yeah, it is Monday for most people, isn't it? Oh well, sucks to suck. I'm still calling it Sunday. My plan is to stay up all night tonight. Well, okay, I did that yesterday as well, but like I need to stay awake during the day, so I have to be caffeinated. But I can only be caffeinated later because I can't have it wear off. Anyway, we're gonna read today. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We're reading the Scum Villain Self-Saving. Oh, Scum Villain Self-Saving System. Did you guys see the box set art? The art for the box, for the actual box of the hardcover box set is so pretty. I'm gonna cry. It's so pretty. Oh my god. It's I don't even, it's so beautiful. I'm like drooling over it, just thinking about it. Anyway, oh my god, I can't wait to get that. Anyway, as happy as we are going into a rather angsty couple of, somewhat, you know, I was gonna say couple of chapters, but it's not chapter, it's still one chapter, but there's a couple of parts in it. We stopped on part 3 of the chapter 24 called Yue Qingyuan and Shen Qingqiu. That goes into their backstory a little bit of when they were babies. When they were babies and they had so many troubles. Anyway, I'm not gonna cry. I might cry, but we'll see. I'm not gonna have 4 copies. Maybe I should just like print out the art and like in a really long, big ass piece of paper and just hang it up for myself. Lamau. Okay, fine, I'll do it, but just hang on, I didn't open up. Fix it up. Skip this update. Oh, my mouse. Oh, where's my mouse? Whoa. What's happening? I'll give you a ball toggle here, just for that. Why? You want to do it? You want to do it while I'm in this? While I'm... Oh, okay. Well, listen, we're supposed to be reading, and I haven't practiced my British accent in a while, so it sounds really bad. Why is everyone... Ah! The sun. Ara. Is that what a British person does? Oh no, they can't do the ra. Ara. Anyway, we're gonna get sad. We're gonna get sad again. That's all we need. I'm going to start reading. And once I do, I'm going to stop this accent because we can't have that. All right. We are on page 90. We had just the last sentence we read was, and he waited for a certain someone to keep his promise to rescue him from the sea of suffering. So we know what we're getting into. Guys, it's time to lock in. It's time to be sad, okay? Okay, let's start. Part 3. Shenju thought a lot about why Yueqi never returned to look for him. Perhaps he'd been discovered while making his escape, and the human traffickers had broken his legs. Perhaps he had been unable to find any food in his journey, and, being unwilling to beg, he starved to death. Perhaps his potential had been too meager, so none of the immortal mountains had been willing to take him in. Shenju even imagined walking to the ends of the earth looking for Yueqi's remains, and how, after finding them, he would dig him a grave with his own 2 hands. Perhaps he would even do his best to shed a tear. Or, if Yueqi was fortunate enough to still be alive, Shenju imagined how he himself would cast away everything to rescue Yueqi from whatever hellish straits he'd fallen into, even though Shenju himself had only gone from the wolf's den to a tiger's lair, and so was in dire straits himself. But no matter what, he could never have imagined this kind of reunion. He raised and lowered his sword again and again, sending blood splattering everywhere, in a horrifying tableau. Flecks of blood splashed into his eyes, but he only blinked a few times and otherwise wore no expression. One could have described his movements as deft and composed. After taking him from Chu Manor, the most Wu Yanzi had taught this disciple of his were things like murder and arson, stealing and robbery, and how to profit from chaos. For example, what he was doing now, using the Immortal Alliance Conference to loot the bodies of some foolish, immature, and rich children who had thought themselves elite cultivators, divesting them of their storage pouches, and then disposing of their corpses. Damn, Shenju. When Yueqi discovered him, he must have been stunned frozen by Shenju's ghastly appearance, for he didn't even register the disciples' bodies on the ground, and instead took 2 steps toward him. Shenju shivered and abruptly looked up. The moment Yueqi got closer to got a clear look at his face, both of them paled into a bloodless white. "Stay away!" Shenju yelled. Unexpectedly, his first reaction was to throw himself to the ground, snatch an emergency firework from one of the bodies, and release it into the sky. Yueqi was shaken but still confused. He walked toward Shenju while extending his hand, opening his mouth to say, at which point a disturbing chortle emerged from the dense forest beside them. "My dear disciple, who is he? He scared you so terribly, so you do know what... he scared you so terribly, period. So you do know what it is to be afraid." Shenju released his grip, and the firework casing fell soundlessly to the ground. He hastily turned around. "Shifu, I'm not afraid of him. I made a mistake just now. I wasn't paying proper attention, which gave this lot on the ground the chance to release a firework. What I'm afraid of is that someone will show up soon." Yueqi had realized that this situation was incredibly dangerous. Without batting an eyelid, he began to gather spiritual energy. Wu Yanzi humphed. When I saw that firework, I guessed that was the case. You've always been quick and nimble. What happened this time? If they were going to set off fireworks, why didn't you chop off their hands? Shenju lowered his head. It's this disciple's fault. We should go at once. If those old men get here, we won't be able to even leave, even if we try. But Yueqi moved to block them, raising the sword in his hand. He glanced at Shenju with faintly reddened eyes, his voice hoarse but unusually resolute. I can't let you leave. Furious. Oh wait, this is Yueqi. My bad. I can't let you leave. Furious, Shenju glared at him. Wu Yanzi looked him up and down, then gave his sword the same once over. He scoffed. From Sangchong Mountain, and even Chongding Peak. The Xuansu sword, your Qingyuan. At this, Shenju startled, then swiftly returned to his urging. Shifu, since he's from Sangchong Mountain, we won't be able to kill him swiftly. It will be better for us to escape, and fast. Once everyone arrives, we'll be finished. Wu Yanzi sneered. Sangchong Mountain may possess grand prestige, but I need not stoop so far as to fear a junior cultivator. Besides, he came seeking death himself. As he and Yueqi truly came to blows, Shenju realized that his worry for Yueqi, together with the various clumsy tricks he'd used because of it, were rather laughable. He was terrified of that master of his, Wu Yanzi, terrified to death even, but as Yueqi, or Ye Qingyuan, met him in combat, he proved to be more than Wu Yanzi's equal, even without drawing his sword. Nevertheless, Nevertheless, Shenju couldn't relax completely. He was all too familiar with Wu Yanzi's fighting style and last resort trump cards. I'm fearing that I'm saying his name wrong. Yanzi or Yanzi? I have no idea. Wu Yanzi, or Yanzi, had a set of cursed black light talismans. Countless times Shenju had witnessed Wu Yanzi, toss out one of these paper talismans when at a disadvantage and score a kill by catching his opponent off guard. More than one famous cultivator had failed to escape his sinister maneuver. Moreover, it was easy to see that as he was now, Yueqi had little experience fighting enemies. His movements were by the book, and his methodically attacked and parried in turns. Therefore, right when Wu Yanzi was about to throw a talisman, Shenju stabbed a sword through his back. Yueqi grabbed his hand and frantically sprinted away. He done killed him! I'm looking to see if there's I know we're not even gonna come back to him, but I'm looking to see if there's a pronunciation guide on this guy's name. We're not even gonna come back to... Oy. I don't think there is. No, there isn't. Okay. Good job, Shenju. Having gone through a fierce battle, both youths were in shock. They leaned against a tree, panting heavily. Once he'd calmed down, Shenju finally gave Yueqi a long, thorough look. His cultivation was extraordinary, and his bearing poised and steady. His clothes weren't of a common make either, and his demeanor was exactly like that of the great masters themselves. He couldn't have been further from the hellish straits Shenju had imagined. This was not Yueqi, but Ye Qingyuan. Ye Qingyuan looked excited, his face flushed as he prepared to speak, but Shenju opened fire first. You joined Sangchong Mountain? Shenju couldn't tell what Ye Qingyuan was thinking, but the excitement on his face faded a little. Indeed, his complexion paled. You've become Chongding Peak's head disciple. Not bad, said Shenju. Why didn't you come back to look for me? Shenju waited for some time, but the next words never came, so he said, Why don't you say anything? I'm still waiting. I've already waited for so many years after all. Waiting a little longer will be nothing. But how could Ye Qingyuan say anything? Shenju crossed his arms. Finally, his waiting was rewarded with Ye Qingyuan's quiet words. Sorry, it's Chiga who let you down. Ice-cold fury crawled up inside Shenju, engulfing his entire heart. His mouth and nose seemed to fill with a taste of his frenzied, raging blood. First, he'd been a rat forced to swallow its anger, cringing while awaiting more beatings. Then he'd become a gutter rat, scurrying back and forth as everyone chased and hid it. No matter how he changed, he was a rat, cowering with its tail tucked between its legs, unable to see the light, letting years slip by in vain, squandering its time and life. Meanwhile, Ye Qingyuan was a true phoenix that had flown to the summit, a carp that had leapt over the dragon's gate. Sorry. All you've ever known to do is say sorry. Shenju sneered, then delivered a final ringing blow. It's utterly useless. Some people were rotten from birth. Shenju thought of himself in exactly this way. Someone vile and poisonous from the start, because at that instant, he came to a crystal clear realization. That he'd rather have met a Ye Qi who died in some unknown corner, his remains unsightly and forgotten, than a Ye Qingyuan who was elegant and powerful, his prospects and future boundless. And you know what? He has a right to feel that way. And you know what? I think that's okay for him to feel that way after everything he's fucking been through. With a response like, Chiga let you down? Bitch, just tell him the fucking truth. He's so... Blood doesn't taste good, trust me, Major. Not. What the hell? Why? Oh my god. I'll call him Wu Yun sucks. So true. Such a fucking bitch. I'm glad he's dead. I think... That's so fucked. I think I read this before, but I forgot that's what he fucking said to him when he first saw him. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Ye Qingyuan, you're so stupid fucking bitch. Oh my god. Oh my god, Ye Qingyuan. What is wrong with you? I hate him. I hate him. Oh my god. No way. Anyway, we're on part 4 of chapter 24, on page 95. Let's get into it. Okay. Shenju hated far too many people and far too many things. Obviously, people found it hard to say anything good about the character of someone who hated everything. So fortunately, by the time he became Shen Qingqiu, he understood he ought to at least keep that hatred from bubbling to the surface. Within Sangchong Mountain, the one he undoubtedly hated the most was Lu Qingge. Lu Qingge mentioned. Lu Qingge had achieved success in his youth. His talents were extraordinary, his spiritual energy vast, and his swordplay awe-inspiring. His family background was excellent, and both his parents were alive. Any one of these things would have been enough to make Shen Qingqiu gnash his teeth and toss and turn for 3 days and 3 nights, let alone all of them together in one person. During Sangchong Mountain's annual martial arts tournament, Shen Qingqiu's opponent had been Lu Qingge. Naturally, the conclusion had been an overwhelming loss on his part. There was no shame in losing to the future Baijan Peak Lord, or perhaps one should say that this was how it should be, that it was normal. But Shen Qingqiu would absolutely never think such things. What he saw wasn't the bystanders' amazement at how he'd valiantly held out for so long, but Lu Qingge's matter-of-fact arrogance as he held the point of Chen Luan's blade inches from his throat. Qingjing Peak prided itself on being the gentleman's peak, and Chen Qingqiu took to playing a gentleman like a fish to water. Yet Lu Qingge was always able to make his rage boil to the surface, to the point he didn't bother wasting energy playing nice with his sex siblings. The thing Shen Qingqiu most often said to Lu Qingge was, "Lu Qingge, I'll definitely kill you one day." In this particular instance, the tender young lady carrying the pipa had long since thrown on her thin robes and dashed out in terror. Lu Qingge sent him a glance. "You, kill me." It was only 3 words, but Shen Qingqiu heard boundless venom within them. His wrist turned. Ye Qingyuan saw that the situation didn't look good and pressed Shen Qingqiu's elbow downward. Oof. Preventing him from drawing his sword. He looked back and yelled, "Lu Shidi, you should head back." Lu Qingge looked like he couldn't be bothered to deal with this further. With a cold laugh, his figure instantly vanished. Sorry, I'm distracted by my throat. This left only the 2 of them inside the warm red pavilion. One person's clothes were how do you pronounce this word? And disheveled, while the others had not a thread out of place. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. Ye Qingyuan yanked Shen Qingqiu off the bed. He was in a rare fit of anger. "Why are you like this?" "What? What? How can I do what?" asked Shen Qingqiu. Huh? What is this? I'm so confused with these words. Anyway. Bruh. Be clear. Be clear. Ow. Ow, my rib is collapsing on itself, but that's fine. Anyway. 2 of Sangchong Mountain's head disciples getting into a huge brawl outside a brothel. Does that sound good to you? If you don't tell them, what? If you don't tell them, I don't either. Who'd know which sect we're from? Shen Qingqiu countered. Sangchong Mountain is Sangchong Mountain. Tell me, which of Sangchong Mountain's rules decree that its disciples can't visit this place? Sangchong Mountain isn't a Buddhist monastery or Taoist temple. They might be able to control everything else, but they can't stop me from looking for women. If Shishong finds it shameful, he should watch that mouth of Lu Qingge's. Indeed, Sangchong Mountain had never expressly ordained such a rule, but cultivators were supposed to naturally understand the concept of preserving a pure heart and nature, of exercising self-discipline, especially those of Qingjing Peak, where the peak lords and disciples had invariably remained virtuous and unsullied. Instead, this unwritten consensus had become Shen Qingqiu's justification for sophistry. I know words. Definitely know what that word is. Rendered speechless, Ye Qingyuan spent some time swallowing his words before giving a muted response. I won't say anything. Lu Shidi and the others won't say anything either. No one will know. Then I must thank you both, said Shen Qingqiu as he put on his shoes. Lusting after woman damages one's cultivation, said Ye Qingyuan. He would know. Sorry. Of course he'd say that. Shen Qingqiu sneered. Didn't you hear your Lucidi's tone with those words of his? You kill me. With your abilities, damaged or not, they are as they are. Yue Qingyuan was silent for a moment. Lucidi isn't really such a bad person. He's like that with everyone, not just to you. Shen Qingqiu scoffed. Like that with everyone? Don't try to deceive me, Jiangman Shishong. Is he like that with you? If you extend him a single share of kindness, he'll return it twofold, Yue Qingyuan said patiently. Jiangman Shishong is truly considerate and understanding. It's just, why doesn't he extend kindness to me first? Why not have pity on me? Show me some compassion. Why must I accommodate him? As Shen Qingqiu had turned a deaf ear to his every plea, Yue Qingyuan found it difficult to speak. After all, he couldn't straight up tell him something like, if you hadn't used every means to ambush Lu Qingge after the meet in order to teach him a lesson, the two of you wouldn't fly into a rage at the slightest contact now, nor would you loathe the mere sight of each other. Shen Qingqiu yanked his clothes over his shoulder with a jerk of his hand, then slid Shuya into its sheath. After taking 2 steps, he thought of something and turned around to inquire. How did you know to find me here? Who reported it to you? I went to Qingjing Peak but didn't see you, said Yue Qingyuan. Then I saw a few Shidi from Baijian Peak preparing to head there. Preparing to head there for what? Yue Qingyuan fell silent. Shen Qingqiu sneered. Preparing to gang up on me, is that right? Though conflict often erupted between Shen Qingqiu and Baijian Peak, the conflict this time was truly overblown. A Baijian Peak disciple had gone to this small, remote town for a task where he just happened to see a familiar person enter the largest brothel in the area, the warm red pavilion. From top to bottom, Baijian Peak felt the same as Lu Qingge. None of them harbored any goodwill towards Shen Qingqiu. Therefore, the disciple had obviously refused to let this chance pass by. He directly followed Shen Qingqiu into the brothel, then mocked him for being a hypocrite and actually entering this sort of place, saying that he'd lost face for their entire sect. I can read. After a couple of undiplomatic words, Shen Qingqiu had beaten him severely, leaving him with serious injuries. When this disciple returned to Baijian Peak, he'd run into Lu Qingge. After questioning him, Lu Qingge had been steaming with rage. He had promptly rushed over on his sword for payback, ready to hit Shen Qingqiu back for every blow. If Yue Qingyuan hadn't caught Baijian Peak's junior disciples in their preparations to head to Qingjing Peak and dismantle Shen Qingqiu's bamboo lodgings, there was no telling what wreckage this little town would have suffered. Get your disciples under control. Noting how Yue Qingyuan refused to speak, Shen Qingqiu could guess the situation. As if Baijian Peak ever had any good intentions. So he changed the topic. Why did you go to Qingjing Peak? Didn't I tell you... this is Shen Qingqiu. Why did you go to Qingjing Peak? Didn't I tell you not to come looking for me? I just wanted to see how you were doing, said Yue Qingyuan. I've troubled, Yue Shishong, said Shen Qingqiu. I'm doing very well. I might be a hateful thing to most people, but luckily the Qingjing Peak Lord doesn't despise me. If you are truly doing well, why do you never spend the night on Qingjing Peak? Yue Qingyuan asked, following his heels. I wonder why. Shen Qingqiu gave him a dark look. He knew that Yue Qingyuan must be thinking that he was being excluded by the rest of Qingjing Peak. Yue Qingyuan's guess wasn't unreasonable, but he was genuinely wrong this time. Though Shen Qingqiu was unpopular among his peers, it wasn't to the extent of being kicked out of the communal sleeping quarters. He just loathed being in close quarters with those of the same sex. All those years, whenever one of his beatings from Chu Jianluo was over, or whenever he had a premonition of another beating, he had crawled into Chu Haitang's room and remained there, quivering. As Chu Jianluo was unwilling to let his sister see the side of him that was perverse and lunatic, that had been the only place where Shenju could hide. And even longer ago, there had been some girl in their group, the Big Sis. But after she reached a certain age, that Big Sis had been sold to a withered old man to be his second wife. Afterward, they'd left the city, so they'd never seen her again. Liking women wasn't the least bit shameful, but treating women like saviors, cowering within their embrace and seeking courage from them, even without anyone saying it, Shen Qingqiu knew Shen Qingqiu knew that was horrendously shameful. Oh my god, misogyny. So even if it meant his death, he would never tell anyone, least of all Yue Qingyuan. Sorry, I'm just getting comfortable again. Whee! If I said I was doing well at Qingjing Peak, what would you do? Shen Qingqiu asked, slow and measured. Would you help me enter Qingjing Peak, just as you recommended me for Qingjing? Yue Qingyuan gave it some thought, then said solemnly, if that's what you wanted. Clearly I don't want that, Shen Qingqiu said with a resolute humph. I want to be head disciple. Would you be willing to give me your position? Let me become the sect leader? He asked, forceful and lofty. For better or worse, Qingjing Peak ranks second among the 12 peaks. I'd rather wait to succeed this one. Yue Qingyuan sighed. Xiaoju, why must you always act like this? When he heard that name, Shen Qingqiu's entire back shuddered with incomparable irritation. Don't call me that. Among his Qing generation peers, Shenju stood out as sharp and resourceful, so the Peak Lord was quite fond of him. He hadn't been around for long, nor was his foundation up to par with his peers, yet he'd been designated the successor. Once the Peak Lord gave their head disciple new names, the original ones would be discarded. In the past, Chu Jianluo had forced Shenju to learn how to read and write. Shenju had been unwilling to learn, had detested it to the point of madness, yet now it was only through his abilities in reading and studying, through being smarter than his peers, that he'd been able to earn the Qingjing Peak Lord's favor. To make it even more laughable, of the thousands of possible names in this world, the Peak Lord had just happened to name him Qing Chou. No matter how laughable. Have I been saying Chu Jianluo? It's Chou, I guess. I guess it's Chou. No matter how laughable, no matter how it made him gnash his teeth, Shen Qingqiu still wanted that name. For his name represented that from now onward, a shining new life was his. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? Hi Renko, hi Brave, how you doing? We're sad. We're sad. Alright. Shen Qingqiu gathered his thoughts and smiled happily. That name irritates me whenever I hear it. I've long forgotten it. So please, Zhangman Shishong, you should also discard it. Yue Qingyuan said, then the day you respond to it would be the day it no longer irritates you? A pause. Shen Qingqiu sneered. That would never happen. Yue Qingyuan, allow me to say it once more. Never let me hear that name, ever again. So sad. They're so tragic. They're so fucking tragic, and then he fucking like doesn't exist after Shen Yuan becomes him, and then he's just like gone, and then he's just gone. Oh my god, I can't deal with this. I can't. They're so sad. They're so fucking sad. That was the end of that part. We're on to the next part in a second, but let me just gather myself and drink more tea. No, I can't cry. Okay. The doomness of Yaoi, it truly is. It truly is. Oh man. Okay, part 5 on page 102. Shen Jingzhou finally couldn't take it any longer. He headed to Chongding Peak. When it came to Chongding Peak, Shen Jingzhou always tried to visit as little as possible, and when it came to Yue Qingyuan, he always tried to see him as little as possible too. Therefore, the 12 Peaks' annual martial arts tournament was terribly troublesome for him. Sangchong Mountain's 12 peaks had a fixed ranking. This ranking was unrelated to the strength of each peak. Instead, it had been designated back when Sangchong Mountain's first generation of peak lords had been established among themselves. All successive peak lords had addressed each other in accordance with the ranking with this ranking rather than by their order of entry into the sect. Therefore, even though he'd entered the sect quite some time after Lu Qingge, because Qingjing Peak was ranked 2nd, only below Chongding Peak, while Baijian Peak was ranked 7th, Lu Qingge still had to address Shen Jingzhou as Shishong, even through gritted teeth. At the same time, because of this ranking, Chongding Peak and Qingjing Peak disciples were customarily positioned such that their squadrons neighbored each other's. On top of that, their head disciples had to stand side by side. Okay, have a good night, Brave. Yue Qingyuan was unable to catch Shen Jingzhou at other times, so he would latch on to these opportunities to ask him all sorts of questions. He chattered non-stop as he inquired after important things like how his cultivation and studies were going, as well as trivial matters like whether he had ample food or clothing, or whether he was cold or warm. Though Shen Jingzhou found this unbearably annoying, he wasn't stupid enough to embarrass the sect leader's head disciple before such a large audience. For every 20 questions Yue Qingyuan asked, he replied once, maintaining his distance and courtesy both, while ruminating over the techniques from his studies the night prior and contemplating other things. This was the martial arts tournament's most comical scene every year. Perhaps the two of them didn't realize it, but for many disciples watching these two head disciples was the only fun. But for many disciples, watching these two head disciples was the only fun to be had during the Peak Lord's tedious pre-meet speeches. I can read. They'd watch one party act unlike himself, ignoring the silence as he murmured and whispered, while the other party absent-mindedly stared straight ahead, hemming and hawing. Therefore, Shen Jingzhou's decision to voluntarily come to Chongding Peak was not only surprised and pleased Yue Qingyuan, but practically all the disciples at the scene were jumping over themselves, banging gongs and drums, and as they yelled for everyone to come watch. Shen Jingzhou didn't have much to say. He had no interest in playing the part of circus monkey for others. He applied for permission to cultivate in the Lingxi caves, then left immediately afterward. Isolated from the outside world, the Lingxi caves overflowed with abundant spiritual energy. As Shen Jingzhou moved through the caverns, his expression grew increasingly grim. Where are we? Yeah, yes, this part. Yeah. Those days he squandered under Cho. I keep saying Chu when it comes to this. When it's first, yeah, okay. Those days he'd squandered under Cho Jianluo and Wu Yanzi had been no small consequence. I'm so good at this. Within the new generation of Peak Lords, Yue Qingyuan had naturally attained core formation first. Qi Qingqi and Lu Qingge had followed practically on his heels, breaking through at the same time. Anding Peak's Shang Qinghua and his mediocre background had barely managed to keep up, but even he had achieved official ascension. Shang-Chi mentioned. Okay. Anyway, however, the more anxious Shen Qingqiu grew, the more stuck he became until he was suspended in place and unable to progress. He was racked with stress and anxiety. It was like he was swallowing 100 kilos of tobacco every day. It smothered within his head and stomach, stoking his flames of rage and irritation until they erupted. With Shen Qingqiu like this, no one dared to get on his bad side. But even if they didn't dare, Shen Qingqiu didn't let them go. Luo Binghe was using the incorrect cultivation manual that Shen Qingqiu had handed him. He should have long since died, bleeding from his 7 apertures. Yeah, that's the word. His body rupturing down to his bones, skin, meridians, tendons, and flesh. But not only had this failed to come to pass, Luo Binghe's cultivation was steadily improving. Thanks for the gift sub. Oh my god. What the hell, Apple? Furthermore, Shenqing, am I there? Am I there yet? What the fuck? Stop it! Stop! No, don't start hype train. Wait, stop! I'm busy. Ugh. Where? Stop! You're distracting me. Oh my god. This cultivation. Yes. Okay. Furthermore, Shen Qingqiu had told Ning Yingying thousands of times to stay far away from Luo Binghe, and that she wasn't allowed to get involved with him. So why did he see them every day whispering together before his eyes? Shen Qingqiu was filled with paranoia. He forever felt like everyone was secretly talking behind his back, discussing how he'd been unable to retain core formation even after this long, that it was unbecoming for one in his position, that they hoped to secretly finish him off and replace him. So now, he secluded himself within the Lingxi caves, if he still couldn't make a breakthrough. Shen Qingqiu sat upon the stone platform, but his thoughts continued to spiral everywhere until he'd worked himself into a cold sweat. His breaths and circulation choked, stars flashing in his vision. Suddenly, he felt a burst of spiritual energy raging rampant through his meridians. This was no small matter. Panicking, he quickly went still, sitting tight as he attempted to rein in his mind, when a person suddenly approached him from behind. Shen Qingqiu's hair stood on end, and he snatched up Xu Ya, drawing it halfway as he yelled, "Who's there?" A palm gently pressed against his shoulder. "It's me," said Yue Qingyuan. Shen Qingqiu said nothing. Yue Qingyuan continued to send him spiritual energy, pacifying his wild spiritual fluctuations in their violent stampede. "My apologies. Your mind and spirit are currently disturbed. I frightened you." Shen Qingqiu had been frightened by his own spiraling thoughts. For this reason, he was even less amenable to listening to others point out. "Who's frightened?" he snapped angrily. "Jiangmen Shishong never enters the Lingxi caves for secluded cultivation, no? So why must you fight me for a spot the moment I do?" "It's not true that I've never entered them," said Yue Qingyuan. "I've come here before." Shen Qingqiu was baffled by this tangent. Who cares whether your esteemed self has come here? It's illustration time. Hang on, give me a second. Hang on, it's time. Ooh, I'm dizzy. Is anyone else dizzy? I'm dizzy. I need to sit up for a second. Hang on. Whoa. Bezos money. I don't think I've been breathing enough. Sometimes when you read a lot, you kind of forget to breathe. You know what I mean? Here we are. Oh, I need to save it properly. Hang on. Give me a second. Pung. Pung it. No! Stop! Did I do that? Wait, what? Hang on. Huh? What did I do? Hang on. Why? Stop! What is wrong with you guys? Oh my god. What is... I'm so confused. Save as... Oh, I put it in the wrong spot, my bad. It's on my desktop. Here we go. Here they are. Oh my guys. Doomed Yowie. Thank you, Renko. Stop! Stop! Oh my god. Leave me alone. Oh, whoa, I got really dizzy. Hang on. Hang on. I just like looked up a little, that's all. Whew. Fun fact, you're a bitch, that's what. I'm busy. Oh my god. Yeah, go ahead. Fucking try. Thanks for the gift again, Apple. Oh my god, okay. We're going back to reading, okay? Look at them, they're so I'm so sad about them. I'm so sad. We're on page 107, by the way. You're Yuan's side. Shitty. Can you not just stay quiet for a while and concentrate on regulating your breathing? Me, I need to do that. Upon a stone candlestick's dried wax, a faint flame flickered to life. Ooh, faint flame flickered. Shen Jingzhou hadn't planned to retort, but when he took in the full sight of the cave he'd chosen, he was stunned. Oof. Did someone duel to the death in here? He blurted out. Countless slashes from either blade or axe gouged the cavern walls, leaving the impression of a disfigured face covered with layer upon layers of scars. The effect was both sinister and terrifying. Behind him, Yue Qingyuan said, "No, duels are forbidden in the Lingxi caves." Other than the sword gashes, there were also swaths upon swaths of dark red bloodstains. Some looked like blood sprayed as though splattered there after someone had been pierced through by a sharp blade. Others appeared to be from someone slamming their forehead into the wall, as if they were begging for something, leaving behind smear after smear with each impact. Shen Jingzhou stared at those almost blackened stains. Then, did someone die here? Whenever they interacted, it was usually Yue Qingyuan who talked tirelessly. Never had there been a situation like this, where Yue Qingyuan refused to utter a single word. Shen Jingzhou found this alien and strange, to the point that goosebumps broke out over his body. Yue Qingyuan, I'm here. If you're here, why won't you say anything? Isn't it because the moment I do, you'll find it annoying? Shen Jingzhou snorted and laughed. That's right, you're very annoying. So you know it too. But he didn't want to fall into a silence within this darkness either, so he could only reluctantly continue on this thread. I heard that sometimes those shut disciples and other sect members inside the Lingxi caves, like those who are experiencing a qi deviation or those who have resorted to unnatural paths. Do you think this might have been one of those situations? Oy. After a long time, Yue Qingyuan made a non-committal noise. Oh. I hate them. I hate them so much. Shen Qingzhou had received the cold shoulder, but he still squinted at a stretch of wall. It seemed that whoever this was wanted very much to leave, he concluded. They struggled for a long time before dying. If all this blood had come from the same person, even if they had survived, they would have had 1 foot in the grave. Shen Qingzhou suddenly felt that something was off about the hand Yue Qingyuan had on his back. Alarmed, he said, "What's wrong?" It was a long moment before Yue Qingyuan replied, "Nothing." Shen Qingzhou shut up. He couldn't see Yue Qingyuan's expression where he stood behind him, but he could feel the hand passing him spiritual energy and how it trembled slightly. I seriously hate these bitches so much. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. I hate Yue Qingyuan for not fucking saying anything. He's so fucking annoying. Why wouldn't you just fucking say something? What a bitch. So annoying. Ugh. Oh shit, hype chest, what the fuck? What even is that? What the heck? Okay. Choo choo. That was the end of part 5. I'm going to snooze and add real quick so we can finish this chapter. And then I'll see how I feel after this. Choo choo. Alright. Part 6. Actually, you know what? I should actually just do this ad. Hang on. Cuz I need to go to the bathroom for a second, so I should just I should just let this play. Why again? Oh my god. Okay, before I go. Okay, bye. See you in a second.
keeping you in check, keeping you obsessed. Play me on repeat, 끝없이 in your head. Anytime it hurts, lay another verse. I can be your sanctuary. No, I'm the only one right now. I will love you more when it all burns down. More than power, more than gold. Yeah, you gave me your heart, now I'm here for your soul. I'm the only one who loves your sin. To the way my voice gets underneath your skin. Listen, cause I'm preaching to the choir. Can I get the mic a little higher? Give me your desire. I can be the star you rely on. You want only tree, yeah, you can't look away. Don't you know I'm here to save you? Now we running wild. Yeah, I'm all you'll need, I'ma be your idol.
Okay, we're back. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I got up and I got hit with how dizzy I actually am. I'm okay sitting down for now, but I might only be able to finish this chapter before nausea might set in. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna finish this chapter. We're very close. It's got 10 pages left. So yeah. Weak. Man, you ever been hit by a vertigo attack? It's not fun. Anyway. Yeah, I'm drinking a lot of tea. I have water. I'm good. And it's not caffeinated either. It's not like taking away my water. So I'm okay. I'm just gonna have to sit down for a minute. Lie down for a minute after this. Hi, Focat. Alright, we're on part 6. Part 6. Real. So true. We're on part 6 on page 108. At the bottom of page 108. I'm gonna finish this chapter, alright? Alright. When Shen Qingqiu stirred, he felt a coolness trickling from the wounds in his body. The burning, hellish pain had been alleviated by quite a bit. He struggled to open his eyes. On one knee beside him was a figure, currently looking down as he examined Shen Qingqiu's condition. Upon the white stone platform, a black hem was evenly laid, a plain and rustic longsword held firmly beneath it. Several empty, upended medicine bottles lay scattered about. The sword was Xuan Su. The person was, as one would expect, Yue Qingyuan. It was the same gentle and handsome face, just a good deal paler than usual, the exhaustion evident. At this sort of time, only Yue Qingyuan would still come to see him. "How did you get in?" Shen Qingqiu asked, his voice hoarse. Luo Bingke was determined to make him suffer. There was no way he'd have been willing to let Yue Qingyuan enter the water prison to help him keep holding on by a thread. This is water prison time, oh my god. Seeing that Shen Qingqiu could speak, Yue Qingyuan sighed in relief. He held his hand while whispering, "Stop talking. Focus." He wanted to pass Shen Qingqiu's spiritual energy to help those wounds heal faster. This time, at last, Shen Qingqiu didn't brush him aside, because right now he was thinking, that's right, no matter what, he's still a sect leader. As harsh as Luo Bingke and that old geezer from Huanhua Palace wanted to be, they had to at least show some superficial courtesy. But it must have taken a lot of trouble for Yue Qingyuan to gain entrance. Spiritual energy coursed through Shen Qingqiu's wounds, and the pain in his twitching flesh felt like dense clusters of iron needles stabbing into him. Shen Qingqiu clenched his teeth, his hatred Does vertigo affect your speaking? Ooh. Whoa. His hatred surging to a point that he laughed instead. That little bastard. Okay, you know what, guys? I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna be honest. I might have to call it here. Even we're so close to the end of it, but I'm not feeling so hot. I'm actually feeling too hot, maybe. Yeah. Man, it sucks because it's like nothing I can do. Like it just comes on randomly. There's nothing I can do to help it. Oh, that's so annoying. I hate being disabled. Oh, it's okay. We'll finish it next time. And okay, passing it off to Renko. Let's go. Ugh. Maybe I am just too hot. Either way, it's come to a point where it's too much to deal with, so I'm gonna have to call it here. Damn, that sucks. Oh, that sucks so much. It's only been an hour. Ugh, yeah. Oh. But yeah, I'll see you later. I'll get my schedule out sometime, maybe tomorrow, probably, or Tuesday. Really, I don't know. But I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out. Let me see if I can rate anyone. Let's rate Nolo because they're so silly. Let's rate them because they're so silly. Okay. Okay. Oh my god, their model is so fucking goofy. I love it so much. It's so cute. Okay. I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out, and be safe. Be safe. Have a good day. Have a good rest of your night. Okay. And go. Go. Bye.